What's up everybody, Kai here, and today we will talk about life skills. We will talk about multiple things regarding life skills. Before we start, please keep in mind that the game is currently in beta testing phase and that things are subject to change. With that being said, let's get into the video. Starting with what life skills are and how they impact your gameplay. We currently have 8 life skills. We have botany, mining, alchemy, gem collecting, smithing, cooking, material processing, and gem crafting. The way it generally works is that 2 life skills complement each other, so let's say mining and smithing, and gem collecting and gem crafting. Before we continue about life skills, let's talk about life skills' stamina system. Life skills recharge 400 stamina per day, with a cap of 2000 stamina, which means you can stack up to 5 days before having to do your life skills. However, there are also these stamina potions right here, which will give you 100 stamina each per life skill potions. Number one way to obtain these potions is through the guild. You get 8 of these stamina bottles per week, and this is one of the reasons that by being in a guild is so important. The other way to obtain these is through the premium battle pass, but however you will only get 6 of these over the course of approximately 3 months, which is how long the battle pass is lasting in the current beta test. Let's move on to the next topic, which will be about the life skill trees. The life skill trees are used whenever you level up. You get one of these tokens and you can spend it on any of these nodes. And as a smither, I will just taking literally everything wherever I can, since I really want to be able to make everything, because it's important for enhancing gear. That's why it, doesn't really matter as much for smithing as for other skills. However, it matters for gem crafting in my opinion, so let me hop onto my alt. Now, I hopped on my alt, and we can see right here that I went a more specific route. Mainly because I'm trying to go specifically for the things that are catered towards my class. As you can see, I went blue and red rocks at the start. Then I just went straight to the far right so I could make these triangles. And that's a very key thing. This way I don't have to take everything. I just went for the stuff that my class requires. And then I can basically start gem crafting for myself. Which brings us to our next topic. What in the current beta test are the best life skills, so-called? So after leveling up a bunch, we are currently like level 55 and almost 2 weeks into the beta test. Personally, I think smithing and gem crafting have been very important so far for progression. For smithing, it's important because you are able to get permanent upgrades. As for gems, it is important to inlay gems into your gear, but once you replace that gear, your gems will vanish, whereas smithing are permanent upgrades. So whenever you replace a piece of equipment, you will have to replace that gem and make more gems for yourself. The reasons why I don't mention gem collecting or mining brings us to our next topic, which is the way to be most efficient about them in the current beta test. And that will bring us to the auction house. The auction house has tabs for all life skills right here. And you can purchase whatever you need, well, when it's in stock of course. You can even favorite stuff by giving it the little heart icon. And then you can access it easier on your favorited list right here. I will try to show an example of how I currently work here. First, I basically just spam a refresh and make sure only things that are in stock show up, so that whenever something that is in stock shows up, I can try to buy it as soon as possible. Because currently, the way the auction house is, it's very far in between that sometimes people sell stuff, so you kinda have to try and snipe the auction house for what you want. I will fast forward here and you will see when I try to get something. Alright, here we are. We have these green rocks. We go and buy them as an example. And we'll even get some red rocks here. Get some red rocks. we basically buy those as fast as possible, then we come over here and then we can start creating gems, or we can start creating the green ones as well when I have those unlocked. Anyways, but yeah, that's the normal way you go about it. You basically refresh, you get what you want of the auction house, and then you process it. However, of course, there's also the normal way, which you can go and gem collect and mine yourself. As an example, you're going to gem collecting here. You can select the rock you want. As an example, I want the red rock. You find its location, you go to the location and go ahead and mine it, right? But the reason why I don't do this step is mainly because of this right here. It costs 10 stamina to also mine the rocks. So I try to preserve my stamina and use it on the processing part, which in this case is gem crafting, and get my gem crafting to a higher level rather than using it on like mining in the first place, which also costs stamina, because creating these costs 20 stamina each as well. For the mining, or I mean smithing case, this costs 10 stamina per interaction, but for gem crafting it's 20 per. With that being said, this was a small look into the life skill system. What do you think about it? Do you think the stamina should be removed or perhaps increased? Personally, I do not mind it so far from my experience, but if you give players more energy / stamina, they will be able to progress more smoothly as well. I just want to add that you can see that this is an alt of mine, and the way that that would work, as an example, I would have to go to the auction house and try to sell it to myself. There's no like shared warehouse that's currently like goods that you can transfer your own goods between your own accounts. However, I would not mind if this is introduced, but that would of course allow alts to play a part, which I feel indifferent about. As you can see, I don't really mind doing it, but I don't want people to be forced to do it either. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. We hit YouTube partner, so thank you everybody who's supporting the videos. I really appreciate it. You can now subscribe for like $1 a month if you want to. If you enjoyed this or was informational at all, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel itself. It really helps me out. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.